Hello, everyone. Welcome. Um, so I'm going to talk about why Democrats are voting for Donald Trump. And by that, I really mean a bunch of people who have been Democrats, part of the Democratic Party, or lent in that direction for like forever, um, or independents, you know, who are more, not at all Republicans um, are in en masse like voting for Donald Trump and why, just so we understand, what's going on, why most likely Donald Trump is going to win the election. Although, I don't know what's going to happen, but and why I would say, to be very candid, why Donald Trump should win the election. Um, which is basically, look, he's not a perfect person. Neither am I. Neither are you. You know, but the image we all have, the image I had of him until quite recently, is actually based on a lot of misinformation and a lot of lies. So, um, so if you look at the Joe Rogan, I encourage you to watch the 3 hour Joe Rogan podcast with him. In 3 hours, it's like totally unscripted conversation. You could prepare some things to say, but 3 hours is a long time. You can't hide for 3 hours, You'll get caught out at various moments. And that happens all the time in these long form podcasts. And it's one of the great things about it. And it's the traditional way. We used to have debates where people would be speaking for hours and you get to know them beyond just these, little buzzwords and, whatever you call them, the little points they'll mention. So basically, just very briefly, a few things why Donald Trump is being voted for. Uh, so it's not clear, and I'd say, basically, it's not clear uh, how, like last time, Trump let a bunch of people in who were like big money, big agriculture, big war, big pharma, all these huge corporate lobbyists were in there. And so it wasn't a good thing. And the whole COVID thing happened under him. Um, and he still hasn't apologized or acknowledged that the COVID thing was the vaccines and all that were, a bad idea or that they've caused problems. But um, he's got a team behind him now who are radically different, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, um, Rand Paul, uh, Thomas Massey. So you've all these people, and it seems basically like actually this time around he has a better counselors, and actually does want to do a better job. But Kamala Harris, she is the one endorsed by the CIA, the military industrial complex, the war machine that got us into Iraq. They all want her in there, And if you look at her speak, she's pretty clearly like a puppet, Um, and so, she's been very direct in saying that she wants to, censor people and control what people can say and think. Um, her and the Biden administration have made it legal for American soldiers to kill U.S. citizens on U.S. soil. It was bad enough when Obama allowed U.S. soldiers to be on U.S. soil, not just in bases but active, which was already a huge thing. But this is just some other level, and it's like, oh, what, to protect us? Do we really believe this? Um, they've just been letting millions of people flow over the border, many of whom are proven to be criminals, and many of whom are terrorists as well, and then many of whom, normal people as well, of course, but huge numbers of whom we don't even know anything about them. They haven't been, um, and then, so I mean, where to begin? Like, this is just a short little thing, but just to say, like, it's clear, in a nutshell, it's clear that Kamala Harris is bad news and is full on walking in lockstep with Davos, World Economic Forum, military industrial complex, Bill Gates, George Soros, all these huge billionaires who basically, want to control society more. It's a natural thing. I look at me and my child. I can see the impulse to just be like, oh, it'd be so much simpler if I can just tell you what to do. But I always try to resist that and let her explore as much as possible. And I'd have to put in a bit more work. And basically, the government, there's this natural impulse with elites to just be like a bit lazy and be like, oh, let's just try to control stuff more. because it's just there's less, it's easier to manage, and but and then the thing is that they're not our parents, so it's actually the government is supposed to be required to put in the effort, whereas with the parents, at least you could be a lazy parent if you want, but it's like the government is not allowed to do that. They're not, they're our employees, so they have to put in the full effort and let us have our freedom, even though it's more difficult to manage. It's much, much healthier for society. So Trump seems like he's actually probably on board with this. You could say, and some people, the black pill people would say, oh, it's just another puppet. It's like, well, yeah, okay, maybe, but it's 100% Kamala Harris is a puppet. Trump, what is it, 50-50 for you if you're black pilled, cynical? And you might be right. I don't know. So I think definitely it's the better of the two options. So that's what you need to think about, right? Um, and it seems likely, not certain, but it seems likely that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be unleashed. Who was a Democrat his whole life until he was forced to go independent because the Democratic Party was captured by corporations and Wall Street, the war machine, and they're saying like, we want no wars. Kamala Harris wants war, World War III, literally, and they're all people by neocons, and Trump wants no wars. That's the thing. He's bragging about how he had no wars under his term, his presidency. Make America healthy again. Robert F. Kennedy is going to be tasked with picking the personnel, and for decades he's been suing corporations and government agencies, and so he's going to be tasked with clearing up the corrupt government agencies, and with the core and foreign policy also, but basically making ending the chronic disease and health, chronic illness, just catastrophe that is modern America, and the foreign war catastrophe that is modern America. And that's a beautiful thing. And then you have, like all these other characters who are very trustworthy involved. And so it just seems like, I'll end it there, but just as a basic thing, the whole thing of like, oh, Trump, how could you, make a podcast saying that people should vote for Trump, or how could you even entertain voting for him? What's wrong with him? Apart from the taboo which has been generated by the mass media, which has been caught lying to you on 100 other things and is controlled by a handful of corporations who are human beings. Naturally, they want money and power. We all do. But some of us control the impulse better than others. And if you have a lot of money and power, it gets harder and harder you need to be wiser and wiser to control that impulse. So no judgment, but it's just human nature. What, are we blind? Are we idiots? Are we 5 years old? You have bullies in the playground. You have liars at work. Liars. Selfish people. You are a liar and a selfish person sometimes. I am. You have to control it. And why would we think these people are not in the highest echelons of society? Of course they are. Come on, let's wake up. We know they are. So in the American election has big impact around the world, right? So I'm here in Ireland, and we have an election coming up. This election will definitely have a big impact on Ireland, and Trump's probably going to get in. He's probably going to change the tax system so that Ireland will no longer be this tax haven for big corporations. But that'll be good for us, by the way, because you don't get something for nothing. Like that comes with a lot of political power, that they are like all their money's coming in. Who butters the bread? And so it's going to be good for us actually, but it has many impacts around the world. Most of all, we need peace. The Biden administration has been really, like, if you look into the Russia-Ukraine thing, Russia, I'm not saying they're perfect at all, but they have been largely on the defensive here. They have been pushed into this war. And if you could look at Robert F. Kennedy's work to find out more about that, or the Duran, Duran, the Duran podcast, amazing, where they talk about this. But you know, Trump and Kennedy, they're all about, and Tulsi Gabbard, they're all about peace, and so I think, if apart from all the name calling and the taboo which is being generated, why wouldn't you? What's wrong with Donald Trump? Isn't it interesting how we can have this feeling of like, oh, he's this terrible guy, but when all the most powerful people in the planet, around the planet, the majority of these people who call, the people who own the newspapers, own the TV, own the bomb corporations and the gun, corporations making the bullets and everything, and the people who, whatever, super wealthy people, billionaire class, when they're all behind Kamala Harris, do you not get a bit suspicious? Why? You know? And and the thing, oh, Trump's racist and sexist. It's like, is he? I haven't seen that. He's always seems like he's talking to all kinds of people and huge numbers of black people, Asians, Hispanics, Muslims, all kinds of minorities. They're all voting for Trump, a huge number. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know for sure that there's been a huge brainwashing operation going on around, this topic to the extent where I'm like, I talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, but um, I'm hesitate like, oh, should I really put myself out there to talk about this? Of course you should. Whenever you get that impulse, do not self-censor yourself. Just put it out there. If people think I'm crazy, enjoy, knock yourself out. Whatever, if it lights your lamp, enjoy. So, but yeah, so if I were an American, if there's any Americans listening, I highly encourage you to do what millions of other sensible people are doing and going, Donald Trump, I'm going to vote for him. He may have a big ego. It seems like he does, but there's benefits to that. It makes him strong. And so he's been attacked through lawfare where they've all these crazy court cases, baseless things, getting him in trouble for things that no one else would get in trouble for. Clinton does all these things and nothing happens to it, So I think a lot of people are thinking like, yeah, this just makes sense. It's the safer option, basically, from economic security, all kinds of perspective, and freedom perspective. And I have great hope that, like, I'm aware maybe it's a trick and the globalists are pulling puppets all over and whatever. But if so, okay, fine. Like, it seems rationally, it seems much, much more likely that Donald Trump, it seems very likely that he will do what he's saying. And whereas Kamala Harris, there's zero chance of any good coming there. So I think it's like that. You got to do this. It's not the only plan. We should all be trying to be self-sufficient and educated and aware and loving and shine light on our own inner darkness and try to shine it on outside darkness when that's appropriate, which is usually. um, but and we don't need to judge each other. We can understand we're all kind of waking up from this crazy dream of the ego, and we're trying to do our best. But yeah, so I would vote for Donald Trump. If you're an American, I encourage you to do the same. And yeah, check out the Joe Rogan podcast. And yeah, that would be it. All right, so enjoy everyone. And I'm Jamie McGlue, by the way, and I'm running for election in Dublin Bay North in Ireland. So if you live in Dublin Bay North, or if you know people who do, or if you're in Ireland or whatever, please like this video, share it. If you live in Dublin Bay North, you can vote for me. You can also donate. So you can go to jamiemcglue.ie, JAMIEMCGLUE, like sticky. Let's stick together. It's the catchphrase, right? And you can click donate there, and that would be very helpful. So I stand for, freedom, truth, justice, peace, or more specifically in Ireland, I could say, free speech. So the government's been trying to attack that. No, we need free speech. Fair borders, bringing in huge immigration, a huge amount of it illegal. This is crazy. This is totally unreasonable and unfair, and everyone knows it. I won't even get into the reasons, but I've did that in other podcasts. But so fair borders. Come on, we're a country. We need to have borders. And three, full sovereignty, meaning we are a sovereign country. We're not a province of the British Empire or the American Empire or the European Empire, whatever. We are a sovereign country. And so the political power which makes decisions about Ireland comes from Ireland, not from Brussels. We are self-sufficient political power, full sovereignty. And then we collaborate with Brussels and with whoever. It's good to engage and interact, but just like friend circle, you don't want to be, like, oh, yes, boss, yes, Mr. Leader. No, you're equals, right? So free speech, fair borders, full sovereignty, triple F. You can also check out fff.irish and to see more about that. So that's it from me, Garamila Margweave, and good luck to America. May the spirit of justice, truth, and beauty win, which, believe it or not, means voting for Donald Trump.